Hello, everyone, and welcome back for another episode of the Outdoor Adventure Series podcast, where we celebrate individuals and families, businesses, and organizations that seek out and promote the exploration, stewardship, conservation, access, and enjoyment of the outdoors. Visit El Paso is the sponsor of today's episode. El Paso is more than just a place on the map, it's where Texas begins. It's a vibrant city with unforgettable sunsets and offers a unique blend of history, culture, and natural beauty. El Paso is the perfect destination for family vacations, couples getaways, outdoor adventures, meetings, conferences, and conventions. Our guest today is Jamil Moutran. Jamil is the owner of Rent a UTV Off-Road Adventures in El Paso. Jamil, it's a pleasure to have you on the podcast. Welcome.
Thank you, Howard. Thank you for having me.
Fantastic. Now, I have to admit, it did not connect with me what UTVs are because a good friend of mine here in Las Vegas, where I live, her husband has toys, and one of those toys is a UTV. And I was so excited to make that connection. So when I'm in El Paso, I'm actually hoping to get out on one of your UTVs. So I'm really excited today for you to share a little bit about you, this business that you have had for a number of years, and what is it about UTVs and out in the wild country in El Paso that makes this sport such a great experience. So if you would just start off a little bit, tell us a bit about yourself and the business.
Sure. So UTVs are utility terrain vehicles, and they have quickly replaced ATVs. ATVs were the four-wheelers with the handlebars and the saddle seat that came out several years ago, and which are still popular, but they're just not as popular now as the side-by-sides, which we refer to as UTV. And when we first started 12 years ago, we initially started renting ATVs, but we quickly found that we got a lot of warm weather out here in El Paso. And when you're out there in the middle of July on one of these ATVs, it get pretty hot when you don't have a rooftop over your head to give you some shade. So we found that the UTVs hit our business just a little bit better because they've got rooftops, they've got a roll cage. You're able to seat multiple passengers, so you can take your entire family with you. They are safer because they offer a wide suspension, and they're easier to operate because if you know how to drive a car, then you know how to operate a side by side because it's the same fundamental steer wheel and shifter, and they're automatic. You got a brake and you got a gas pedal, so very easy to operate. When we first started 12 years ago, like I said, we were doing the ATVs, and we would spend about 40 minutes to an hour just doing training, just to teach people how to lean properly, how to traverse the hill properly, because we didn't want to just send people out without some form of training like that. And so there was always that learning curve with ATVs, and it's a lot easier to train somebody to use side by side. So folks come into our location. We're on site. There's no need to trailer any vehicles anywhere. We're at the entrance to a very popular off-road riding area that's called Red Sands in East El Paso, Texas. It's about 14,000 acres of desert areas. A lot of those areas are privately owned, but there are other areas that are owned by the county. And so what our folks do is we have a brand new fleet of Polaris Razors. We keep our razors for only 12 months. We swap them out every 12 months. You always get the best equipment tricked out with touchscreen navigation and electronic suspension and a 100-watt rock-proof Fosgate stereo system so you can blast your favorite jams. And these machines seat 4 people. And you come out, we've got the vehicles there, and you rent one of our vehicles, you go on a guided tour. And the reason that we do a guided tour is because the area is so huge. You're going to go on a 25-mile long trail ride through a variety of types of terrain. You're going to go through sand dunes and hard compact trails, mountains and hills. And when you traverse through such a long trail system like that, you really want to have a guide with you to kind of lead the way. And you do drive the vehicle. A lot of folks think that we drive you around as a passenger. That's not true. Now we can do that if you prefer. If you want someone to drive for you, we can obviously do that. But most people prefer to drive their own vehicle. But the tour guide is up front in a guide vehicle, and he guides you at your pace, at safe pace, through this trail system. Now it's not a slow 5 mile an hour tour or anything like that. It's more of a cross country kind of a Baja ride type of thing where you're averaging between 25 to as high as 40 miles an hour going through the
Oh,
trail
wow.
system. So it's a lot of fun.
That's
Now we cater
fantastic.
it to every we cater it to every customer. So some people takes just 15 miles an hour to put a big fat smile on their face, and that's perfectly fine with us. And others need a little bit more speed. So we tailor it to them, but we always ensure that it's always at a safe operating speed because safety is our primary goal. And that's our primary goal. So it's a lot of fun. We've been in service out here for 12 years now. Like I said, we've catered to thousands of customers. We've been featured on television shows, and we've had actors and actresses and different types of personalities come in to try it out, and everybody seems to like it.
I love it. Now, how long are the tours typically? It's like a half day, full day?
Oh God, no! When we first started the business 12 years ago, we used to offer uh, like we used to offer 4 hour rentals.
Okay.
And we found that most people, the majority of our customers would come back after just 2 hours because they were just exhausted. Because you're
Okay.
you're going through trail systems, you're being bounced around. It's like being on a roller coaster for 2 hours, right? Not
Okay.
not not that bad, but it's a rugged, it's off-roading, it's rugged, right? And you're in the element. In the winter, you're out in the elements where it may be cold. In the summer, it may be hot. Spring is just beautiful. But you don't want to be out there for 4 hours. Most people don't want to be out there for 4 hours, especially if you've got a flight to catch or you want to do other things in El Paso because we got so many amazing things to do out here in the city. So we found that 2 hours is a sweet spot. And so our tours run uh, about an hour and 45 minutes. We tell people you're going to be with us about an hour, 45 minutes. That includes your training, that includes your safety orientation, paperwork, equipment fitting, the trail ride. It includes one stop where you stop at a very scenic area for 5 minutes to take a water break, take photographs, explore a little bit. If you've got small children, our tour guides will show them fossils. There's a lot of fossils out there. And of course, talk about the area. There's a lot of history in that area. And so they're there to guide you, and they're there to also provide education and talk a little bit about the environment and things that we need to do to be good stewards over the environment.
Okay. So a couple things I just want to backtrack on the guides. Now, I would imagine these guides have a little bit of training. It's not like you put a want ad and help wanted, but these folks probably have to have some experience before they're going to get placed in the responsibility of being a guide. So tell us a little bit about who these folks are.
Absolutely. So in Texas, and this is most people don't know this, but in Texas, you have to go through an ATV rider safety course in order to lawfully operate an ATV or a UTV on public land. And if you haven't taken the course, you're operating public land, it's a Class C misdemeanor. And
Mhm.
most people are unaware of that. And this is one of the reasons why we don't just rent a vehicle to you and allow you to drive solo, because you're driving a vehicle that most people are not certified on, right? They don't have that certificate from DPS, Department of Public Safety. Now, we have been a certified training center for 12 years. I'm an instructor for DPS. I teach the class. It's a 4 to 6 hour class. I teach it free of charge to the community every month. Been doing it for years as a public service. However, 99.9% of the folks that we get to have that training. And so in order for us to operate, uh, the law allows you to operate these vehicles under the direct supervision of an instructor or someone who's taken the class. So all of our tour guides have gone through the training. They've all been certified. They're instructors and they take you out and you're under their direct supervision. That's one of the reasons. So there's multiple reasons why we do tours, but that's one of the reasons is you're under their supervision. On top of that, we have very close ties to emergency services as we support a nonprofit organization called Texas Rescue Patrol, which is a county 911 EMS agency. And all of our tour guides are actually volunteers. They're firefighters. And so they're EMTs. So they're state licensed emergency medical technicians. I'm an EMT. My other tour guides are EMTs. And so they are there to provide safety for you when you're out there. If something were to happen, they've got the proper medical training. They've got years and years of experience of off-roading. One of our tour guides basically grew up out there. He's been there since he was 5 years old. He's coming to the store at the age of 5, and
Okay.
he's 19 years old now. So he's been around for a long time. So all the guides have a lot of experience because you've got to go through that trail system and know what you're doing. And that's one of the problems that we see out there in the Red Sands area is that a lot of people take vehicles that they personally own to that area without any training, without knowing what areas are allowed to be in, what areas are not allowed to be in. And that's where we get a lot of accidents that we see happening at Red Sands, what you read about in the newspaper and things of that nature. Not the case with what we do. Everything is done professionally, safe. You're wearing safety equipment, helmet, eye protection. You're with a guide that's guiding you through the trail system. And we're operating during the day, not at night or on a Sunday night where there's a lot of people that are congregating there. So it's entirely, it's a safe activity and it's a fun activity.
Oh, it sounds exciting. My appetite is getting whet just hearing about this. Now, I'm curious with Red Sands, and you just said something that just kind of answered my question, but it's worth to note again. Y- You and your organization, your team of the guides, are not the only folks out there in this Red Sands area. Is that there's other folks, like you said, are taking their own vehicle. Are there other activities that are going on out there that maybe your guides need to just be aware of?
Yes, absolutely. So Red Sands is an area that has been frequented by the off-road community for decades. We have customers that I know that have been out there off-roading since the 1960s. And so it's a very popular area. It's a multi-generational type of activity where it's just been passed on to family members and their children. And it's loved by many people. And the off-road community, um, they have a love for off-roading, and they're the folks that you see out there with trash bags that pick up after themselves and pick up after other people, and they try to preserve the area as best they can. But then there's another element um, that visits Red Sands, which is the element you usually see in the newspaper and stuff. Is there's a lot of kids that go out there at night, and they have these huge parties out there, and like almost like a desert rave. They actually bring sometimes they'll bring bands out there, sometimes they'll bring DJs out there. And when you get a bunch of young kids that are consuming alcohol that have there's no security, there's no management there because it's not a park. It's not an official OHV park. It's just open desert.
Mm.
Then that's when you start running into accidents and a lot of the criminal activity that you read about. Now, those kind of activities typically happen on Sundays at night, and we don't see it during our business hours because we're open 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. And on Sundays, we close early at 3 p.m. to avoid all the crowd that come in on Sunday night. And so it's not typically something that we see, but we are always aware of other people that may be in the area that are using that area. So our guides are trained for that. They avoid areas known to us where people recreationally shoot. They avoid areas that we know have trail systems that are frequented by other off-roaders. We are constantly monitoring other activities in that area. For instance, there are Baja races that are conducted out there, full-scale professional Baja races. that are hosted out there. And we work closely with the promoters to just know what their schedules are so that we can essentially cater our tour to avoid all those areas and those trails that they're going to be using. So there's no we're not stepping on their toes and they're not stepping on our toes. So we are very aware of those things. And like I said, safety is our main priority. And we've been doing this for a very long time. And so those are some of the areas, those are some of the problems that we run into. Now, having said that, the other issue that we run into as well out there, because it's not a park, and there is no management, there is no maintenance crew or anything like that, is we have a terrible problem with people littering out there. And there's off-road clubs that get together once a year, especially after 4th of July, because 4th of July, we had about 15,000 people there, and they left a lot of fireworks and trash. And so the individual off-road clubs will get together and they organize a community cleanup event where volunteers go out there and pick up the trash. But these events, unfortunately, don't come often enough because people use that area, like I said, on Sundays, and they do leave a lot of trash. So during our tours, we try to avoid the areas that are frequented by a lot of people so that our customers don't see all that trash. We don't want to represent El Paso that way. So we try
Sure.
to avoid those areas. That's why we go out on a very far trail system. Like I said, it's 25 miles long. So we start at Red Sand, but we don't stay at Red Sand. That's just that's where the beginning of the tour is. We go out toward the city of Horizon and we loop back around and we come back to Red Sand. So we're not just sitting there at Red Sand in the dunes playing around because that's where everybody congregates and stuff. We're showing you other areas, other beautiful areas, mountains, hills, and canyons, and other areas where there's fossils and the trail systems are just amazing. Red Sand is really it's a hidden jewel for El Paso. There's nothing else like it in our city, and really I would like to see some work being done in the future to preserve it. I would really love to see the county or the state come in and try to preserve it and turn it into an official OHV park because in El Paso, we don't have bodies of water. We don't have lakes and oceans and things of that. So for recreational purposes, we have hiking and we have off-roading and it's a huge market in El Paso. And that's demonstrated by just the amount of people you see going out there on 4th of July. I'm talking thousands of people. It's something that's very popular for El Pasoans. It's a lot of fun. And believe it or not, we don't have a place to go ride. We have San Felipe OHV Park, which is the only OHV park in all of El Paso County. It's over by Fabian, and it's only like 100 acres or 120 acres, I believe. Now, the county has tried to move to get some funding from the state to revitalize it, and I think that's what they're working on right now to clean it up a little bit. But really, you need a large space like Red Sand, and
Sure.
there's nothing else in El Paso County that offers the landscape that Red Sands offers. And you go into other places like New Mexico, and they've got OHV parks everywhere. I mean, all over the place and nice areas to ride. And unfortunately, that's kind of where we're lacking is we need to kind of step up and provide a nice venue for El Pasoans to legally and responsibly operate their vehicles.
I love that is here in Nevada. I mean, I if I go anywhere, it's usually car camping, do some light hiking. As I was having the interviews, with some of the other participants in this podcast series, the Mountain Bike Association, and what I loved what they had said is I can go hiking and I might be able to hike depending on the time of the day and the season, 2, 3, 5, 10 miles, but then I got to come back because I don't have the belongings with me, the water, the food, the tent, etc.
Sure.
If I'm on a mountain bike, I can go a little farther and see things the average hiker is never gonna see. But what I love about what you're sharing is with the UTVs, is you're even going to go beyond what the bikers are going to see. And it's
You,
really exciting that this land is just it's vast, perhaps not as vast as you would like it, what you have in New Mexico, but it's exciting that folks like me who are going to be first time visitors to El Paso, other members of the Outdoor Writers Association, will have been to El Paso a couple times, but for me, I'm just excited to get out into nature and to see the vast expanse and also the experience of doing this activity I've only just seen other people do. So I think that's pretty exciting. What are your thoughts on you mentioned the kind of a state and the county coordination, but where do you see the lift here to get the state and the county to want to invest more in this area to kind of make it much more of an official place for the UTVs?
it really boils down to us as an off-road community coming together to put pressure on our elected officials to move it forward. And really that's what happened with the funding for San Felipe is the off-road community came together, put a little bit of pressure on the county, and the county was able to acquire the funding from Texas Parks and Recreation. And prior to that, San Felipe it was just in dismay. I mean, it was more of a shooting range than anything else in the riding area. You literally had shelters or camping shelters there that were literally falling apart. The roofs were literally falling apart, and it was a huge liability for the county. And so, through this revitalization effort that they're currently doing, they're putting some money into it and making it look nicer. And so, a lot of times, it's just the grassroots effort of the community coming together and organizing and, talking to our elected officials because ultimately they're the ones who manage the funding and are able to get these kind of things done. There's no secret that Red Sands is a popular area. It's been a popular area for decades and it's on the news all the time. We've it's something that I think that we need to start having a serious discussion about preservation and preserving it because we can't continue in this trajectory where we have people just littering and leaving trash everywhere and not taking care of the trail systems and traversing across private land that some of the property owners there, they don't want people riding on their property, right? So
Sure. Yeah.
there's a lot of liability involved with that. And so at some point we got to come together and try to preserve the area. What I
Okay.
would hate to see happen is, and not just because I'm a business owner, stepping aside from the business aspect of it, uh, just as an El Pasoan, I would really hate for Red Sands to become a parking lot one day, a Walmart parking lot. And
Right.
the only area in El Paso that has these beautiful red sand dunes is lost forever. And it's not just me that would be devastated by that, but I think the community in general would be devastated by that because it is a hidden gem. It's a tourist attraction. We cater primarily to tourists. We get people from all over the world that
Mhm.
come out to the Red Sands area. I mean, weekly we get people from out of state. They heard about us or they read about the Red Sands area on the internet. They want to experience it, or they're going up to Waco Tank, and we're 5 minutes from Waco Tank, so we're on the way up. So they stop there to do some off roading, and then they go visit the Waco Tank. So it's definitely something that we need to preserve for future
Okay.
generations.
No, I love it, and I love the vision too, because the last thing we need is another big box on a piece of asphalt, and totally agree with that. It's unfortunate too, but I see it here in Las Vegas, out at Lake Mead. They just recently closed off to pedestrian access uh, the one of our washes, which is off Lake Mead, very popular areas because of the trash. People just don't respect the land, and it's unfortunate
Yeah.
that it seems like it's everywhere. But I love what your vision is, and that the work that you guys are doing, and I'm very excited. Speaking of my fellow OWAA members and myself going out there, I know Visit El Paso has been working with you or somebody on your team to plan a pre-conference event and then a post-conference event. That's the one I signed up for. So, by the way, Jamil, you can't cancel it, okay? Because I'm going to be on it. Um, but what you kind of painted a little bit of the picture at the onset of our conversation, but what can our members expect when you take us out on one of these excursions?
Expect to see a side of El Paso you've never witnessed before because these areas that we take you out to are not accessible by your traditional vehicle. You can only access these areas through a side by side, and it's absolutely gorgeous. You're talking about a vast expanse. You're talking about seeing wildlife in their natural habitat. It just is a beautiful area. Some of the views are just incredible. They take you up on top of the mountain, and you get this view where you can see Mexico, you can see New Mexico, you can see everything from that one vantage spot, and expect to have a lot of fun because yes, it's scenic. Yes, it's a pretty view and everything, but it's just such a fun ride. The trail system out there is just windy. There's turns everywhere, so you're constantly turning and it's just a lot of fun. It's indescribable, and so uh, that's one of the reasons I started the business. I really love putting smiles on people's faces. I really do, and that's one of the greatest joys that I have in owning this business is giving that experience to people who've never experienced that before. And we've had so many people come through and it really, I guess it really hit me when I first opened the business. It really hit me when, I sold my first gift card because it was a gift card for a birthday gift. And I thought, my gosh, like an idea that I had has morphed into somebody's birthday gift. Like this is what they asked for their birthday. Like it just hit me that this is something special. And I see that every weekend. Families come in and we get a lot of customers from Fort Bliss, a lot of soldiers, and they're going to be deployed. And so their families come into town and they're in town for just a couple days, spend some time. And they choose our company to come out and do one of these tours because it's one of those things that you just never forget. It's so memorable. And that's why we stopped to take photographs because you're building these amazing memories with your family. And we're very family oriented. The vehicles seat four people. If your group is larger than four people and you don't want to rent two vehicles, you can rent seats in the tour guide's vehicle up to 3 seats to reduce price, significantly reduce price. But kids are welcome as long as they're over 46 inches tall. Of course, they can't drive. You have to be 18 years old to drive and have a valid driver's license,
Darn.
but they can ride as a passenger. Yeah. But believe me, we get people that ask and we can't,
Yeah, I can imagine.
but,
I can imagine.
yeah, but, kids come out, they have an amazing time. Gotta be 46 inches though, because they've got to be able to fit onto the restraint system. Again, there's areas, that there's a lot of dip and drop offs and things like that. So it's got a little bit of that roller coaster experience. And so we want to make sure that people are buckled up and restrained and safe. So yeah, it's a great amount of fun. Dress accordingly. Don't come out wearing shorts and flip flops, because again, you are out in the environment. It does get hot. You do stop to take photos, and when you get down, it's going to be rocky. It's like hiking, so you want to wear a attire that's appropriate for hiking and long pants, long sleeve shirt, things like that. We do provide water, but you're welcome to bring an ice chest if you like with your own cold beverages, of course, non-alcoholic beverages.
Of course.
But we do offer that, and yeah, it's just a lot of fun.
Sounds like a great time. Now, I am curious, and I probably should have asked this way at the onset. You've been in business 12 years. You're a busy guy, I know that. Uh, but you have to have a team working with you beyond the guide. So tell us a little bit about the team and who else is supporting this business.
So it's a family-based business. We're not a big company or anything. It started with just myself, my wife, and my kids. And my kids have grown up. So basically, my kids were the original tour guides, and now they've grown up and become nurses, and they've moved on. But I've got one left, uh, my youngest, and he's 19. He's the one that grew up out there, basically out in the sand dune. He's a lot of people request because he's really knowledgeable about the area. He's a really funny kid. But it our organization, like I said, we're a volunteer based organization. Several years ago, 8 years ago, we were seeing a need for a rescue team out there in that area because it's such a large area and it's very difficult to access a lot of those areas, and you really need to have the knowledge base of the trail systems. And being that we're out there every single day, 8 hours a day, there's nobody more knowledgeable in the trail system than us, right? Because we're out there every single day, not just
Right.
on weekends. So we started a nonprofit organization, and it was it started off as a search and rescue team made up of just myself, my wife, and my son, my oldest son, and basically offering first aid to people that would get hurt that were out there, and then working with our local authorities, the fire department, law enforcement, EMS, to assist them as necessary in order to provide logistical support for them to get out to those areas. And so working in partnership with them. Well, over the years, the organization grew and we became a state licensed agency, became a licensed first responder organization. Then we became a licensed EMS provider, which is an ambulance service. And then we became most recently a fire department. So we contracted with the neighboring county, Hudson County, to basically provide their EMS services. So we're their primary 911 EMS agency for the Northwest District. We cover 1,030 square miles, including 40 miles of highway. And there's approximately 40 volunteers that make up our organization. We're a charity. We don't charge for services. None of us get paid for it. We're all volunteer based. And it's supported by donations from our community and from our rental business that helps provide funding for medical supplies, fuel, um, operating expenses, and things of that nature. We are also supplemented by tax funded dollars from the county of Hudson to help us provide for our insurance and other operating costs. But it's a very limited budget, and we have a shortfall because it's just not enough to pay for everything. So the donations are really important. So we sell T-shirts and we do fundraisers and things of that nature. But through the organization, it's broken up into 6 divisions. The first division is the search and rescue component, and search and rescue, they operate everywhere from red sands all the way down to the border. We work with the sheriff's office, border patrol. We do rescues along the border. We do rescues at red sands. We travel pretty much wherever we're needed. We go up to the Guadalupe Mountains and assist once in a while with hikers if they do a call out for search and rescue teams. That's basically headed by one of our captains. So each division has its own lieutenant or captain that manages the division. Then we have an EMS division, which is our ambulance service. So we're County 911 ambulance. So we provide primary 911 ambulance services and transport services. That this portion of the community didn't have an ambulance service. We created the ambulance service to provide life-saving care to the 3 communities that live in that area. Prior to this, they used to have to wait about an hour and 20 minutes for an ambulance to arrive. Now they just wait 15, 20 minutes for volunteers to get to the station, jump in the ambulance, and respond to the medical call. So, and the next division is our K9 division. We have K9 handler with cadaver dogs and tracking dogs. They work with law enforcement. We've worked with Texas Rangers, Sheriff's Department, El Paso PD, on different cases, homicides and things of that nature, trying to locate either bodies or evidence. Then we have the cadet division, which is a program for children aged 13 to 17. We provide scholarships so that they can get their EMT license. We've had 4 kids go through the program already and get their full paid scholarships, and they've become EMTs. So we do that. And then we have a community services division, which goes and works with organizations like UMT Children's Hospital, where we help to provide education, ATV safety, promote ATV safety, and through funding through Yamaha that was acquired by UMC, we're able to provide free helmets to children that can't afford helmets. And so they come through this, take the safety course, get a free helmet, and we work with, again, UMC Children's Hospital on that. And then we also go to schools and talk about career opportunities in EMS, nursing, and also provide education on ATV safety. So, and plus the free safety classes we offer every month. And then
Wow.
the next division is the fire department. That's something that's new that we're just starting to do, is provide fire services for the county. And it's been a huge blessing because it's not sort of taking a life of its own. It's not something that was originally planned. We started, out as just myself, my wife, and my son out there putting band-aids on people. And now it's more into this. And, you know, in life, you never know, you never really know where life's going to take you and where you need to be. And it's a domino effect. And so doors close and doors open, but there's always a purpose for everything that happens in life. And
Sure.
I really feel that I wouldn't have opened that little rental business. And you'll see the building, it's a tiny little shack. You wouldn't think much of it. But if it hadn't been for that little business right there, we wouldn't have done all of these incredible things to help the community. We've saved many, many lives throughout the last 8 years on motor vehicle accidents and off-road accidents, and just responding to people's homes. And it's just been a huge blessing.
No, I think it's a wonderful story, and you're right. You started from as you just shared, a little shack, and you have quite the operation, and it's a great work that you're doing through the Texas Rescue Patrol. Jamil, I really appreciate you taking the time. From what I know is a very busy day for you, and really sharing about your passion, your business, Rent a UTV, and the rescue Texas Rescue Patrol. And really, I'm very much looking forward to meeting you in person in El Paso this September and getting out there on one of these wonderful vehicles. So, and by the way, as you were kind of sharing a lot of this information, I was thinking this whole episode is like this one big aha moment where you kind of look back and you see where you were 15 years ago, 12 years ago, see where you are today, and just how things have evolved and opportunities create opportunities. So I really love that these ahas that you have shared for our audience. If our audience would like to learn more about you and your work, and I know my fellow OWAA members are going to be interested in this episode as well, because we want them to come to El Paso for our annual conference. But if our listeners do want to learn more, where are the best places for them to go to learn about Rent a UTV off-road adventures?
You can visit our website at rentpolaris.com, or you can type in rentautv.com, and that'll take you to our website. You can make reservations online and look at the scheduling and see some of the vehicles we rent. I wanted to add that we don't just do off-road vehicles. We just introduced the Polaris Slingshot, which are street legal type vehicles. They look like little Batmobiles with 3 wheels. Don't need any special license, just a regular driver's license to rent them. And those are not tours. That's just like a car rental. You can rent it for 4 hours, you can rent it for 8 hours, you can rent it all day, you can take it overnight, and you can rent it for the week if you'd like. But it's a great way to explore El Paso. Go down downtown in one of those vehicles. I just got to warn you, they turn a lot of heads. So
I can
expect people to
imagine.
walk up to you at every gas station and ask you about those vehicles. So those are available to rent. If you'd like to learn about Texas Rescue Patrol, we have a Facebook page. Just type in Texas Rescue Patrol on Facebook, and you'll be able to find us. We're also on TikTok too. You can type in Texas Rescue Patrol on TikTok.
Excellent, excellent. And I know you're on Instagram as well, so we'll provide all those backlinks. Jamil, it's been a pleasure and so great to have you join us today on the podcast. And again, just sharing about the business, your passion, and just the impact you are making in the community. So again, thank you so much for your time, and I look forward to meeting you and your folks when we come to El Paso in September.
Great. Thank you so much. Really appreciate you inviting me on the show. I had a great time, and I look forward to meeting you too as well.
Sounds like a plan. Listen, stay on the line. We're going to do a very quick close, and you and I can have a final chat. Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right, folks. We have just been chatting with Jamil Moutran, owner of Rent a UTV Off-Road Adventures. Learned a lot about the business, a lot about the wonderful area we're going to get introduced to when we come to El Paso for the OWAA's annual conference this coming September. And just, I don't know about you, but I love nature, the vistas. I'll probably have a very small camera with me. I'm not going to take a camera with a humongous lens because I have a feeling my body's going to get jostled around just as much as my camera will be. But I'm excited just to kind of have this experience, and really grateful that I'm going to be in such great hands with the team from Rent a UTV. Now, hope you enjoyed all this episode. And if you're going to visit El Paso, you got to check these guys out, whether it's on the UTVs, and as Jamil just shared, the slingshots, if you want to go traveling down the streets of El Paso. In the meantime, do go out to the website, rentautv.com. We're also going to provide the backlinks to the Facebook and Instagram pages, TikTok pages, so you can learn more about the Texas Rescue Patrol. As for us, you can find this episode on the Outdoor Adventure Series podcast. We are also on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. All you have to do is search for Outdoor Adventure Series. And of course, we are on all of the major podcasting platforms. So wherever you get your podcasts, hopefully you're following us already. But if not, just do a search for Outdoor Adventure Series, and you will find our entire podcast library. Finally, we do want to thank Visit El Paso for sponsoring this episode of the Outdoor Adventure Series. Thanks to their support, we can introduce you to guests like Jamil. To begin planning your El Paso getaway or outing, visit the Visit El Paso website at visitelpaso.com. Until next time, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, go out there, have a phenomenal day, and we look forward to having you join us on a future episode of the Outdoor Adventure Series podcast. Take care now.